The idyllic tranquility of Pahalgam, a jewel nestled in the Himalayas, was shattered on April 22, 2025. Gunmen, their faces hidden behind masks of cruelty, opened fire on a group of Hindu pilgrims. The air, once filled with laughter and the scent of pine, grew thick with the stench of gunpowder and the cries of the innocent. When the echoes of gunfire faded, 26 lifeless bodies lay scattered on the ground, a grim testament to the attackers' barbarity. India reeled in horror and anger. The attack bore the hallmarks of Pakistan-based terrorist groups, their hands stained with the blood of innocents time and again. The ghosts of past atrocities in Mumbai and Pulwama and countless other places rose to haunt the national consciousness. India pointed the finger squarely at Pakistan, accusing its state apparatus of harboring and nurturing these vipers in its backyard. The world watched with bated breath, bracing for India's response. The only question was, how would India retaliate? The nation seethed, demanding justice for the blood spilled on that fateful day in Pahalgam. The government, its patience worn thin after years of enduring such provocations, vowed a response that would shake the very foundations of terror. The time for words was over. The time for action had arrived. Operation Sindoor, a plan long in the making, was about to be unleashed. In the aftermath of Pahalgam, the Indian political and military leadership convened. Grim faces stared across the table, the weight of expectation heavy in the air. The nation demanded a decisive response, one that would not only avenge the fallen but also deliver a crippling blow to the infrastructure of terror. The decision was swift and unanimous. India would respond with force, targeting the very heart of the terror network. Operation Sindoor, named after the vibrant red powder signifying auspicious beginnings, was a testament to India's resolve. It represented not just a military operation, but a turning point in India's strategic posture. The operation, years in the making, was a meticulously crafted plan aimed at dismantling terror camps across the line of control. It involved coordinated strikes by the Indian Army, Air Force and Navy, demonstrating a new level of tri-service synergy. Operation Sindoor was not merely a reaction, it was a calculated demonstration of India's willingness to escalate. It signaled a paradigm shift in India's approach to cross-border terrorism, a clear message that the days of strategic restraint were over. The world watched, holding its breath as India prepared to paint the line of control red. The India-Pakistan relationship, a tapestry woven with threads of shared history, culture and conflict, has long been held hostage by the spectre of terrorism. The 1947 partition, which cleaved the subcontinent into two nations, sowed the seeds of mistrust and animosity that continue to plague the region. 3 wars and countless skirmishes later, the scars of division run deep. The rise of militancy in Kashmir, a picturesque valley claimed by both nations, further inflamed tensions. Pakistan's support for separatist groups, using them as proxies in a bid to bleed India by 1,000 cuts, pushed the two nuclear-armed neighbors perilously close to the brink. Each attack, each act of terror deepened the chasm of mistrust, making meaningful dialogue near impossible. The Pahalgam attack, a gruesome addition to this bloody saga, brought back painful memories of past atrocities. The Mumbai attacks of 2008, the Parliament attack of 2001, the Pulwama attack of 2019, each incident a stark reminder of the human cost of this enduring conflict. Operation Sindoor, therefore, represented not just a military operation, but a culmination of decades of frustration and a simmering desire for decisive action. On May 6, 2025, the world awoke to the news of Operation Sindoor. The Indian Air Force, in a display of precision and might, launched coordinated airstrikes on 9 terrorist camps across the line of control. These were not surgical strikes aimed at minimizing collateral damage. These were hammer blows aimed at obliterating the enemy's infrastructure. The targets, carefully chosen based on intelligence inputs, included training camps, logistics hubs, and communication centers used by terrorist groups operating with impunity on Pakistani soil. The roar of fighter jets slicing through the night sky, the deafening explosions that followed, and the plumes of smoke rising from the smouldering ruins sent a clear message. India's patience had reached its limit. The operation, lasting just 23 minutes, showcased India's growing military prowess. The use of advanced weaponry, including Scalp cruise missiles and AASM hammer bombs, highlighted India's determination to strike deep and strike hard. The message was clear: no sanctuary of terror would be spared. Section 5. Striking at the Serpent's Head. Operation Sindoor was not just about dismantling infrastructure, it was about delivering a body blow to the leadership of terrorist groups operating from across the border. Among the casualties reported in the strikes was Abdul Rauf Azhar, a key figure in the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the brother of Masood Azhar, the mastermind behind the 2002 kidnapping and murder of journalist Daniel Pearl. The elimination of Azhar and other high-value targets sent shockwaves through the terrorist network. It disrupted their chain of command, crippled their planning capabilities, and served as a stark warning to those who continued to use Pakistani soil as a launchpad for attacks against India. The message was clear: no one involved in spilling Indian blood would escape the long arm of Indian justice. The strikes, while precise, were not without controversy. Pakistan, as expected, cried foul, claiming civilian casualties and denying the presence of terrorist camps within its territory. These denials, however, rang hollow in the ears of the international community, long accustomed to Pakistan's policy of harboring and sponsoring terrorist groups. The world watched, many in silent acknowledgement of India's right to defend itself against terrorism. Section 6. Fallout and Retaliation. Pakistan's response to Operation Sindoor was swift and predictable. Denouncing the strikes as an act of aggression, Pakistan vowed to retaliate at a time and place of its choosing. The line of control, a volatile border that has witnessed countless skirmishes and 3 wars, once again became a tinderbox, with both sides exchanging artillery fire. The escalation in tensions raised fears of a wider conflict between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. The spectre of war, a nightmare scenario with unimaginable consequences, loomed large over the subcontinent. The international community, caught in the crosshairs of this dangerous standoff, scrambled to defuse the situation, urging both sides to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue. The situation remained tense for weeks following the strikes. Ceasefire violations, a regular occurrence along the line of control, intensified, claiming the lives of soldiers and civilians on both sides. The conflict, once confined to the shadows, threatened to spiral into a full-blown war, a terrifying prospect for the region and the world. Section 7. Echoes on the world stage. Operation Sindoor sent ripples across the international community. The United States, while expressing concern over the escalation of tensions, acknowledged India's right to self-defense against terrorism. The European Union echoed similar sentiments, urging both India and Pakistan to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue. China, Pakistan's all-weather ally, condemned the strikes and called for a peaceful resolution to the Kashmir issue. Russia, walking a diplomatic tightrope, urged both sides to de-escalate tensions and resolve their differences through dialogue. The United Nations, once again thrust into the role of mediator, called for an end to the violence and urged both countries to resume diplomatic efforts. The incident underscored the volatile nature of the India-Pakistan relationship and its potential to destabilize the entire region. It also highlighted the international community's limited leverage in influencing the behavior of two nuclear-armed neighbors, locked in a perpetual state of mistrust and animosity. Section 8. A precarious stalemate. In the months following Operation Sindoor, the situation along the line of control settled into an uneasy calm. While the threat of a full-blown conflict receded, tensions remained high, with both sides maintaining a heavy military presence along the border. The diplomatic channels, largely frozen since the Pulwama attack of 2019, showed little sign of thawing. Pakistan, reeling from the success of Operation Sindoor and facing intense international pressure to crack down on terrorist groups operating within its borders, found itself increasingly isolated. India, on the other hand, emerged from the crisis with a strengthened image, having demonstrated its willingness and capability to strike at the heart of terrorism. The question, however, remained, had Operation Sindoor fundamentally altered the dynamics of the India-Pakistan relationship? While the operation undoubtedly delivered a blow to the infrastructure of terror, it also deepened the mistrust between the two nations, making the already elusive goal of lasting peace even more challenging. Section 9, Charting a Path Forward. Operation Sindoor, a watershed moment in the India-Pakistan saga, highlighted the urgent need for a new approach to peace and security in the region. The status quo, characterized by mistrust, hostility, and the ever-present threat of violence, is unsustainable and detrimental to the well-being of both nations and the broader region. Dialogue, however difficult or improbable it may seem, remains the only viable path forward. Both India and Pakistan must recognize that their destinies are inextricably linked, and that continued conflict serves neither their interests. The international community, for its part, must play a more proactive role in facilitating dialogue and creating an environment conducive to peace. The road to peace will be long and arduous, fraught with challenges and setbacks. But the alternative, a future marred by conflict and bloodshed, is too horrific to contemplate. The time for bold and visionary leadership is now. The future of the subcontinent, and indeed the world, may depend on it.